of 2023, EPA launched its vehicle dealership Energy Star certification. This launch, as Jerry mentioned, is a product of a very long-term partnership with NADA and EPA to promote energy efficiency and sustainability at dealerships. Energy Star helps dealers determine the most cost-effective approach to managing their energy use. This enables dealerships to save energy and money, as well as demonstrate to dealership communities that their commitment to sustainability. This project and partnership promotes goodwill with EPA, and it also showcases dealerships' contributions to a sustainable future in their communities. Eligibility for Energy Star certification means a dealership performs more efficiently than 75% of similar buildings nationwide. This is the first time franchise dealerships will have an opportunity to earn this type of recognition. Portfolio manager training is just the first step. And I'm so excited that you all are here to participate and learn more about the Energy Star program and its related tools. And with that, I'll turn it over to Mimi.
Great, thank you, Kai. I'll flash my camera on just to say hi to everyone. But we will spend most of today with a screen sharing portion, and we're going to go through a few slides here, which basically recap what Jerry and Kai just went over. But like they said, my name is Mimi Smith, and I am a support contractor for the EPA Energy Star commercial and industrial buildings sector. And so we will be going through Portfolio Manager today, and this is a very beginning high-level overview of getting started with Portfolio Manager. So if this is your first time using the tool, then this will be perfect for you. If you have limited knowledge, then hopefully you can learn a few new things today. But if you're a little more advanced, then this might be a little bit of review for you, but that's totally fine. So yeah, turn my camera off now and we will jump into it. Okay, so, one quick thing, as Maddie mentioned earlier, we will be having a Q&A session at the end of the presentation, so I won't be stopping during the presentation to answer questions, but if you do have them, please send them in, and we will definitely get to as many as we can with the time that we have for the Q&A. Also, if you do have more property-specific questions, we might not be able to answer those today, but we will provide some resources for you to be able to get those answered. At the end, I will provide some links and other options for getting those answers. But we will get into the slides. So as Kai mentioned just now, we do have benchmarking available for vehicle dealerships, and they're really great for benchmarking because they're very unique storefronts with a lot of open space and lighting and large windows. And so they're a pretty good candidate for enacting cost-effective energy savings and emission reductions. And like we just mentioned, the NADA was able to work with EPA to develop the 1 to 100 Energy Star score for US dealership facilities. And so the Energy Star score itself, to be able to have enough data for the scores, we need to have a robust survey completed, which NADA was able to do, to be able to have enough data to compare various dealerships and calculate a score. And so the new score was developed based on that survey, which was completed in 2019. And it basically gathered information on the building characteristics, equipment, the use details, various energy and water use, and then 163 dealerships representing 17 vehicle dealer brands were able to provide responses and create that representative data set. So then from there, EPA analyzes and filters the data to ensure robustness and quality, and then we're able to create this statistical model to correlate the data of the property use details to identify the key drivers of energy use while also accounting for various weather patterns or events. And then lastly, the comparison is between the actual energy data for a building to the modeled estimate to determine where it ranks relative to its peers. And so the vehicle dealerships that are eligible applies to dealerships that sell new and used light duty, medium duty, and heavy duty cars and trucks. And again, as Kai mentioned, this is really a great thing because it allows owners and property managers to evaluate energy use to ultimately save money and continue to demonstrate their commitment to sustainability. Okay, so moving into Portfolio Manager itself, we'll go through a few of these slides here to give you a bit of an overview, and then we'll switch to our screen sharing portion. But Portfolio Manager is really great because it's a secure online tool that thousands of organizations use to measure and track their building's energy use, water use, waste, and even greenhouse gas emissions. So it's very readily known, and it is pretty much the go-to tool for benchmarking on a national scale. It can do a whole host of things, including assess whole building energy and water consumption. It can track green power purchases. You can share and report data with others. You can also create custom reports. And most importantly, you can apply for Energy Star certification, which we will touch on in a little bit here. But basically that Energy Star score that I mentioned earlier, if you have a score of 75 or higher, you are eligible to apply for Energy Star certification, which is a great recognition program to be able to, again, prove your commitment to sustainability and ultimately can lead to cost savings and all sorts of things. Portfolio Manager includes hundreds of metrics, including some of the ones you see on the screen here, energy use, water use, the score, like we mentioned, and it'll use weather normalized energy to be able to take into consideration various things that are happening in your climate, you know, or if in a given year it's much hotter or colder, anything like that. One thing here to note is that EPA does recommend using source energy as it is the most equitable unit of evaluation for comparing different buildings to each other. So the source energy represents the total amount of raw fuel that is required to operate a building, and this encompasses all transmission, delivery, and production losses. And so by taking all energy into the use account, the score will then provide a complete assessment of energy efficiency of your property. Okay, so we're gonna jump over into Portfolio Manager in a minute here, but first I'm gonna just point out that this worksheet here, the data collection worksheet, is really, really helpful for getting started to create a property record because you will fill it out with all of the necessary information you'll need, and then you can go right over into Portfolio Manager and just plug all of it in. A lot of times this can be a bit tedious because you're just pulling information from various documents, and so having it all in one place is super helpful. So I'm gonna pop this link into the chat for you. Just one second here. Okay, perfect. Okay, so this is a great option to just have all your information in one place. And so while I jump over into our screen sharing portion, if you would like to get started in Portfolio Manager and have a screen up, totally welcome to do that. We'll go, I'll try to go at a good pace here. But if not, you can obviously just follow along. We will be sending out a recording of today's session as well for your reference, so you'll have that for you. But we will get started in Portfolio Manager. Start sharing my screen here. Okay. Maddie or Jerry, could you just verify that you can see my screen, and should I zoom in at all?
If you could zoom in, that would be great.
Okay,
Yes, you can see the screen.
great, thank you. Is this
Enlarging
Zoom
is good.
Okay, great. Perfect. Alrighty. Well, so this is our home page here, and we're going to start here for today. So this is our homepage for Energy Star commercial buildings and benchmarking. And you'll have all of these links in the slide deck that we sent out to you all. But you can also just simply Google Energy Star Portfolio Manager, and some version of this will come up. But this is the page you want to ultimately be on. It's commercial buildings benchmark. So going to show you around this page just a little bit, and then we'll get into the tool itself. But it just gives you some background on benchmarking itself, some background on Portfolio Manager. You can scroll down here and see about the Energy Star score. It'll also give you some incentives to benchmarking and some reasons why it's a great thing to do and how Portfolio Manager can help you save. So that's all down here as well. But we're going to get started and go over to the right-hand side of the screen right here into Portfolio Manager. So if you have not logged in or created an account, super simple. You're going to click on this button here, create account. It will bring you over to this page right here. And from here, you will fill out all of this information, create a username, password, all of that fun stuff, and fill in all of the information about just, your name, email, all of that stuff here. If you're connecting it to an organization, of course, you'll add that here as well. And then you'll save that down at the bottom with this blue button, create my account. I do have an account, so I'm just going to go back to our main page back here. And if you already have your account as well, you can click login. It will bring you to the Portfolio Manager login page, and you can from there sign into your account. So, all right, let's zoom in here. At this point, let's see. Okay, so first things first, we're going to show you around Portfolio Manager setup and how it's how you can navigate around and see what's available to you. So right now we're in what I like to call the dashboard. So it's the My Portfolio tab, and you'll see this really helpful tab structure that helps you be able to toggle between various things that you'd like to do. So in your My Portfolio dashboard, you will see any of the properties that you have already created a record for. So these are all of our test properties, but if your portfolio will have existing properties most likely, or test properties if you choose to play around and just create a property for fun. But those will all be listed here. And we can scroll down a little bit and you'll see on the left-hand side, we have this Manage Portfolio section here where there's a few things you can do as well. So you can transfer ownership, you can upload your data or use details using spreadsheets, which I'll touch on in a little bit later today. You can download your portfolio to an Excel spreadsheet. You can set baselines or targets, and you can also add sample properties, which it says you can only use 5. We've definitely found a way around that here, but you can add sample properties to your account as well. And then, of course, you can delete properties. So those are a few things there. I'm going to scroll back up here and toggle between these tabs. So we have the sharing tab. So if you are looking to share your property or access to a property with somebody else at your company or with utility or a service product provider, you can do that here. And then we also have the reporting tab. And we'll touch on this a bit at the end, but basically it's a bunch of charts and graphs and various performance documents that you can generate to take a look at your all the data you've uploaded for various properties. So you can look at various reports through the My Reports and templates. You can also look at the Energy Star reports to see what reports are available. And there's a whole host of things. So whatever you're interested in, that is available to you there. And then, of course, we have the recognition tab, which if you end up applying for Energy Star certification, you will see that here in the My Energy Star certified applications, and that will be here with the status and what you need to do to complete that. We're going to head back to the My Portfolio page, and at this point, we are going to walk through the process of adding a property. So to start, we're going to click on this button here, and it'll bring you to this first page. And what's really great about Portfolio Manager is it has a lot of these really helpful tips and tricks along the side of each page. So you'll see these on the right-hand side of the screen here with the various tips on helping you enter in what you need to. And it'll pretty much walk you through like that with every step of the way. So you'll know if you've done something wrong, you'll know if you've done something right. It'll keep you on the right path. And hopefully it is pretty intuitive. So we'll get started here and we'll select the property type. just to make you all aware, vehicle dealerships will be under the retail section. So we'll scroll down to retail, and there it is, vehicle dealership. Click on that. You'll then tell us how many buildings you have as a part of your property. So that's going to be none, one, or more than one. And if you have more than one, you'll want to click into this campus guidance to get a little bit more details there. But for the sake of today, we're going to say one. And then your property's construction status. So most of you will click existing. My property is built, occupied, and or being used. But for the sake of today, we are going to click test property. And then you'll have to answer one of these follow-up questions, entering data as if it's in proper operation or if it's in a design phase. We're going to just leave it as it's selected, as if the property is in operation. You will notice here that there's a design project option. And so this is actually just another option if something is in the conceptual phases and you just want to look at what the energy efficiency would be like once it's completed, you can do that. And we also have a recognition program for the design to earn as well, but that is another topic. I just wanted to mention that in case you were interested. So once we've filled everything out here, we will click this blue button at the bottom, Get Started. Okay, and now we will be setting up all of the basic property information. So this is again where it'd be really helpful to have that data collection worksheet, which actually I'm going to pause really quickly and go into the data collection worksheet. Where do I have it here? Let's see. Actually, no, that's okay. Yeah, that's okay. Just like I was saying, if you have the data collection worksheet pulled up at this point, this is where it was going to be most helpful because you'll have all of that information previously found and in one document. And so that's where it'd be a good place to have like a split screen situation and just be able to transfer over all of this info. But I'll just go through because today is a test and we will fill all of this out. So I'm in Washington, D.C., but I'm sure many of you are all across the country. Okay, so as you're filling out some of these down here, you'll notice that some of them are highlighted blue. And that is basically if you hover over them, it will give you a brief definition of that term. But if you're looking for something more in depth, and also you can see it's sort of a bit translucent there, so it can be hard to read, you can click right into it and it'll bring you to the Portfolio Manager glossary, which will give you a very in-depth definition of how Portfolio Manager is defining different terms. Specifically for something like gross floor area, this will tell you what to measure and how to measure, what to include, what not to include. And so these can be really helpful as you're navigating Portfolio Manager for the first time. Another thing to note here is if you are setting up a test property or even an existing property and you don't yet have all of the exact details, you can include various things like gross floor area as the temporary value. However, if you're looking to apply for certification later down the line, you will want to make sure that you go back in and put in the actual value to ensure that Portfolio Manager can properly calculate your Energy Star score. So for the sake of today, we're going to just leave it as that. And then we'll scroll down here. This section, the standard IDs, is not really relevant to us today, but just so you understand why it's here, this is mostly relevant if you are if you're looking to comply with state and local government benchmarking laws, then they will provide a standard ID and you'll fill that in to be able to get synced up with their system. And that is a whole separate conversation. And if you're interested in that, we do have more webinars on that, but just to make you aware that for today's sake, you don't need to fill anything out there. And then this bottom section here, the last question will be, my property's energy consumption includes parking areas. I'm going to assume yes, that is the case for most of the dealerships. So we're going to click yes to that button and then click continue at the bottom. Alrighty, so then we're brought to the setup property. How is it used? And so this is where we enter in our use details. And these are the parameters that are used to calculate the Energy Star score. So as you scroll down here a little bit, you'll see we have some of these product use details here that are signified by a star. And the star, as you can see right here, it is used to calculate the Energy Star score. So you'll want to make sure that those are all accurate and up to date to be able to have the most accurate score. So we're going to go through here and just fill this out. And again, you'll see that you can also mark these as temporary values. So it's the same thing here. You can definitely do it if you just want to set it up, see how this all works, but then you'll want to go back in and edit that when the time comes. Okay. Scrolling down here for parking, it will give you a lot of background on various types of parking lots. So there's 3 different kinds that are associated in Portfolio Manager, and that is open parking lot, partially enclosed parking garage, and then completely enclosed parking garage. So you'll want to notate whichever one you have on your property, and then another thing to note here is that the total GFA, so I'm going to scroll up to the top, the total gross floor area of our property is 20,000 square feet. And that is the total gross floor area of the property itself. So the parking use, any additional square feet that is used for parking is going to be additional to that 20,000. So this will not be, you want to make sure you don't include your parking lot square footage in your overall property's square footage. So we're going to put this here. And these have little red asterisks by them. Basically, you'll just want to make sure you put a 0 if you don't have any garages or anything like that. And then there'll be a question about supplemental heating, and you'll want to answer that. Once all that's filled out, you can select Add Property at the bottom. Okay, great. So this is a really helpful green banner here that will let you know, congratulations, you've successfully created your property. If you had made a mistake or you forgot to fill something out, you would be kept on the same page, and instead of the green banner, you would get a red banner telling you you did something wrong, and you'd be able to easily figure that out. But now we're going to scroll down here, and so now we are in a 7-tabbed navigation structure, and this is at the property level. So we see we have our dealership entered, we have all the basic information, which if we click over into the details tab, you'll see that here with the construction status, the GFA, the occupancy, all of that stuff here, various property use types, we have the dealership itself, and then the parking. But we have not yet entered in any energy or any consumption usage yet. So we'll want to make sure to do that. And you'll see it actually says next, you can add your energy use information. So it'll prompt you to do the next thing as you work your way through. So I'm going to show you around these tabs really quickly, and then we'll get into the process of setting up a meter. So since we're on this page, let's see what we can show you here. So we can scroll down a little bit, and you'll see that there's a few things that once we start filling it out a bit more might be available. One thing to note is that there's this box here on the lower left that says additional information. So if you work with a service product provider, and once you get set up in Portfolio Manager, it can be a bit tedious to continue entering in bill information. You can actually find an SPP, and if they offer that to you as a service, they can input all of your bill information for you every month. And so it'll go directly into Portfolio Manager, so you do not have to do that on a manual monthly basis. Then there's also a section here for notes. You can see various charts right here. And then scroll back up to the top here. If you wanted to add another use type, you can do that there. So lots of things to play around with for sure. If you needed to edit any of the information, so like I said, if you reported your GFA as a temporary value, you could go into here to do that, the edit box. But otherwise, I can bring you back through the rest of these tabs. So we'll start at the summary tab, and this is exactly what it sounds. Right now, it's not too exciting because we don't have any metrics in, but I'll show you what that looks like once we do put those in. And then we have our usage tabs. So we have the energy use tab, the water use, waste and materials. And then we have these two at the end, goals and design. So this is where you can set various baselines and targets, and anything that you want to track and then hopefully reach over the year, you can set that here. And then lastly, we have the design score as well. So this would be if you're looking for a property that's in the design phase. Okay, so at this point, we are going to walk through setting up a meter, and then I'm going to go back out into a previously made dealership that has all of the use details or all of the energy use included, and I'll show you what that looks like there. So to start out here, we're going to go through an energy meter today. You can also do water and waste, and they're fairly similar with the process, but you'll select this blue button here, add a meter, and it'll bring you to the Getting Started Setting Up Meters page. So again, you'll see on the right-hand side, there's lots of helpful tips here that you can read through. And then you'll want to select the sources of your property's energy. So I'm going to keep it pretty simple today with electric, purchased from grid, and natural gas. Now, I know that some dealers may have waste oil on site, and EPA is still working out how to best capture that. But for right now, we recommend if you do have waste oil burners or anything like that, that you will want to select fuel oil number 2 and then select how many meters you have. For the sake of today, I'm going to leave that blank, but we do also have an FAQ linked at the end of the slide deck, which if you do have a waste oil burner and you're not able to track how much you use or how much is used, we have a way for you to reach out to EPA and work with them to be able to calculate a proper value for that. So we will continue to update that. And of course, this is still very new, so working out all the kinks, but just wanted to mention that in case anyone was concerned. So for today, we have selected electric, natural gas, and we will go to the bottom here and select Get Started. Now, this is a page where you're going to enter in a few more details about the meters themselves. So this is including units. So you'll want to choose whatever units. It's easiest if you choose the units that are displayed on your utility bills, because then it's a direct entry. It can get a little confusing if you have someone else entering in the data for you, and so that's totally fine if those get switched, but just something I recommend there. And then you'll want to put in the date the meter became active. So most commonly, this will be the date the dealership was built and constructed and the lights were turned on, but maybe not. So you'll just pick that date whenever that meter became active. We're just going to start on January 1st, 2022. And then if you do have meters associated with your property that were only active for a certain amount of time, then you can also put in the date the meter became inactive, or if you have something like fuel oil or diesel or something of that nature, then you can enter it as delivery. There's also an option to create custom meter IDs, which can be really helpful if you have multiple electric meters and multiple natural gas meters, just to keep track of them. You can name them with whatever building they're associated with or room or anything like that. So that's just an option I like to point out as well. And then once we're done here, we're going to select Create Meters. So again, you'll see the green banner at the top that notifies us that Success, we have done it correctly. And then from here, we're going to need the actual energy consumption. And so this is directly from your utility bills. So I'm going to show you how you would enter it just to get started. And then I'm going to go to a previously made test dealership and show you what it looks like when all of that's entered in. So to add in your usage manually, you will click to add an entry. And this can be, I guess, it's not super tricky, but this is where it can get a bit tedious. So manually entering in your bill information is a great choice if you're just getting started and you just want to see what's there. But as many of you probably have very long inventories of utility bills. So going through 10 plus years of those and manually entering every single value would take a very long time and would not be super efficient. So what you need in your property record to be able to apply for certification is the most recent 12 consecutive months of bill data. Now, since most utility bills are from middle of the month to middle of the month, we actually, if that is the case for you, we ask for an extra month, so 13 months. So for example, if your utility bills from the 1st to the 1st, then you only need 12 months. But if it bills from the 15th to the 15th, then we ask for an extra month so that portfolio manager registers it as a full year. And that's all you'll need to be able to apply for certification. So depending on what you're looking for out of Portfolio Manager, you only need right off the bat 12/13 months of the most recent consecutive bill data. So for example, if we were doing that for this past year, I said the meter started on January 1st. So let's say that our bill date is the 10th. So once you click that, it'll auto-populate the end date, and then you can select add another entry. So we're going to move down there. And so this right here, all of these months is, oh, one more. All of these months is all I would need to create a record and to be eligible to apply for Energy Star certification. However, if you do want to create an inventory of all of your bill data and see how your energy usage and costs have changed over time, then you will want to put in all of that data that you have a backlog of, which, yes, can take a very long time. So I'm going to flash out of here and go back to my portfolio and then show you some other options for entering in bill data, because this can be the most tedious part. But that is essentially how you would initially set it up with the 13 months or 12 months of bill data there. So at this point, I'm going to scroll down here, cancel, and I'm going to show you an exact test dealership. Actually, let's just make sure here. Okay, great. So this is the one where I've completed all of the usage data here. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. Apologies, just trying to find the right one. Okay, perfect. This is the right one. Sorry for the delay there, folks. Okay, so stepping in here, there we are. So you'll see that I've previously entered all of this in here. Let's ignore the values I put in for usage. This is purely for test purposes. So those are probably nowhere near what you might see on your utility bills, but that's okay because this is for a demonstration. But basically, this is what you will see, and this is all you will need to be able to apply for certification. As you'll see, if we go back to the portfolio page here, or the summary tab here, you'll see that the Energy Star score is represented in this metric box, and you'll see that we have this box right here that says finish your application for Energy Star certification. So if you do not enter in any of your usage data or something's wrong with any of that data, this box right here will instead say not eligible for Energy Star certification, something a little like this right here, not currently eligible. So this one is the one we just created, and the reason it's not currently eligible is because it has no use data, of course. But that is just, you'll want to keep an eye on that. If you do have any issues, it'll be made clear what those are and whether you're eligible or not. So at this point here, I'm going to talk about the other ways to enter bill data. Like I said, the manual way, which is just what we went through. And then there's also a few spreadsheet options. So we're not going to go through each of those steps today. We do actually have some options for that in other webinar series if you are interested in those. And again, I will plug those at the end of today's session. But there's a simple spreadsheet option or the complex spreadsheet option. So this can be really helpful to be able to just bulk upload all of your bills at once. And then of course you can hire somebody to do it for you. That sounds really lovely, but can obviously be expensive. But depending on what you have available, that is an option. And then you can also see if your utility will offer this service for you. So some utilities will directly do all of the entry for you every month. Of course, this does not really help for any previous utility bills you may have. So again, the backlog of usage that you might just be getting started with. If you do want to enter all of that in, which again can be really helpful to see various patterns and usage details over the years and changes. If you do want to add all of that in, I would recommend our spreadsheet options for sure. Okay, so at this point, let's see what else I can show you about the Energy tab. So, yep, as you'll see here, you can see this chart, which will give you some cool metrics here. I guess this one is only just energy used by calendar month. But if we scroll to the top, this box right here, you can change the metric. So right now it's showing the Energy Star score, but you can also choose other things to show. So depending on what you want to be able to see, there's a whole list of them here. Another thing to mention is when you enter in your bills, if you ever need to edit something or change something, you'll go back to this main energy tab, click on enter bills, and then you can just directly click into a previously made entry to edit it. So this can include cost, you can include any of these options here. Portfolio Manager just does not require that you enter in cost to be eligible for certification, but obviously that can be a really great thing to track. So I definitely recommend putting that in, but it's not required for certification. And then once you do edit anything, you'll want to make sure you scroll to the bottom here and click Save Bills to ensure that everything's saved, because Portfolio Manager won't save anything automatically. And then again, once you see the green banner, you know you're good. Okay, so we're running a little, let's see here. Nope, we're good on time. Okay, so a few last things to show you in Portfolio Manager itself. If you're looking to enter in water usage, it'll be the same process. So you'll click add a meter, you'll choose what type of property use or what type of water you want to track. You will hit select get started, and then it'll be the same as you've seen previously. And the same thing goes for waste and materials. So you'll add a meter, select which material you're tracking, and there's a whole list of things here. So hopefully you'll find the correct one for you, and then follow the prompts along that screen as well. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to stop in Portfolio Manager and I'm going to go bring you back to our Energy Star commercial buildings website and just highlight a few of the other resources we have available for you. So to make sure we have enough time for questions today, I'm going to go through these and then we will stop and get into the Q&A. So we are back at the Energy Star website. And right now we're in the benchmark section, which is how you will access Portfolio Manager. But I want to point your attention to the training tab because there's lots of great resources out there for you, which many of them are included in the slide deck that we sent out to you all, but just want to highlight a few others. So live online trainings. I know I mentioned a few other ones today, but we have a monthly series, a portfolio manager series. So 101, 201, and 301. You'll see them listed here. And again, like I said, those are monthly. And we basically build on each previous session. So we'll touch on in 201, you can touch on editing property details, the data quality checker, and sharing property data. And then in 301, we touch on spreadsheet uploads, setting goals, and creating reporting templates. So those are really great options and I would highly recommend those. And to see which ones we have upcoming, you can access that by the live online training page here. We also have really helpful how-to guides. So this is really great, especially if you're getting started. There's a whole list of how-to guides to select here if you're just getting started in Portfolio Manager. And then there's also sharing, reporting, applying for recognition, and then a few Portfolio Manager reference documents as well. We have a bunch of demo videos, which I will warn, they are a bit outdated right now. We're in the process of redoing them, but they're still very helpful on a fundamental level. So these just go through a few things that we touched on today. So getting started in Portfolio Manager, setting up energy and water meters, and all sorts of things here. One I would really recommend is how to apply for Energy Star certification. And then, of course, we have a few other options. We have our recorded webinars, our slide library, and then there's a few other things here, which if you're interested, feel free to click into. But I think that will be all for the screen sharing portion. So I'm going to stop there, bring us back to our slides, and pardon me as I flash forward through these here. Okay, so in this last minute here, I'm just going to touch on Energy Star certification. And so today, the goal was really to go through the basics of Portfolio Manager and to get you feeling familiar with the tool and being able to use it. But the ultimate goal is to be able to apply for certification, hopefully. And certification is based on the 1 to 100 Energy Star score, which, as we discussed previously, was developed as of, or not developed, but are eligible for certification as of November 14th of last year. And so if you have a score of 75 or higher on your dealership, you are eligible to apply. And there's many values of Energy Star certification, but a few of the main ones is that number one, they tend to have Energy Star certified buildings tend to have lower utility bills, which is great. Number two, they also tend to generate 35% fewer greenhouse gas emissions. And number three, they are very well positioned to respond to benchmarking and performance mandates. So as many of you are probably aware, there are increasingly more mandates from state and local governments to comply with benchmarking, but also to reach certain emissions goals. And this can be a great tool to help you track that and then reach those goals in a timely manner. Alrighty, and then this slide here is just the NADA again on Energy Star certification, and again just the commitment towards enhancing local communities and the commitment towards sustainability, and being Energy Star certified really shows that and emphasizes that to other dealerships as well as just nationally, on a national scale, I guess I should say. So to be eligible for certification, the property needs to be located in the United States or a U.S. territory or owned by the U.S. government. Again, it needs to have a score of 75 or higher, and then it will need to have the score verified by a licensed professional. And so I showed you this earlier in Portfolio Manager, but these are the differences here as you'll see either not currently eligible or apply for Energy Star certification, and that's how you'll know your property is eligible. And then once you do receive certification, you'll be able to communicate your achievements, with a lovely decal that me and my team package here. We hand package them for you, and we will send that out to you, and you get a choice between a blue one or a like white and gray one, and you can stick that right on the front door of your building to be able to show off about your Energy Star certification. And then you'll be able to take advantage of a whole suite of ready to use materials to communicate this achievement with various stakeholders. So I do want to shout out a few of the vehicle dealerships that were already certified for 2024. They really were ready to go. And so we already have 3. We have the Acura of Sherman Oaks, we have Lithium Motors, and we have Thayer Honda. Congratulations to these 3 dealerships. We really hope to see those numbers go up in the next few months and the next year. And we can't wait to continue working with the 3 that have already certified. Lastly, the Energy Star certified vehicle dealerships will be provided special recognition from EPA through various national press release opportunities. And now to wrap up here, I'm so sorry going over a bit here, but we will make sure to get to your questions. You'll see these last slides. There are a bunch of links that are super helpful. Again, the first one listed there is our help desk. So if you have any questions, definitely submit a ticket and we will get back to you. There's also the Portfolio Manager 101 training, which is very similar to the one today, but it's more geared towards all property types versus just vehicle dealerships. And then you'll see a few other things listed there. One another I'll call attention to is the Energy Treasure Map for vehicle dealerships, which is another helpful PDF that'll walk you through getting started in Portfolio Manager. Next slide is our FAQs. So we have a few things here specifically for vehicle dealerships that you will be able to access if you have questions. And I think that is all. So thank you so much for attending today. We can stop the